The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Guardian Radio Today is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic and Print Masters.
Baby, a monster calling us fake. No way, no way, no way. Calling me a monster just 'cause we say it. We're from the block where it rains, where we create barricades, keep our position away. That's why we strap with the case. Don't get kidnapped from your place, 'cause it could happen today. Not knowing how to behave, that is a sign that you made. Just lose your life with the waste, your body found in the lake. You've off the run and the fisherman found you drowning for days. You know we come from a place where people smile but it's fake. How could they smile if you look around? It's surrounded by pain. I've seen the sky turn to gray. It took the life from the day.
And welcome to another edition of Guardian Radio Today. I am your host, Kahunanku Sarah, also known as Dr. Cleveland W. Enius III, and it is a Tuesday, just about 9 minutes after the 2 o'clock hour, and August is almost out of here, 25th day of August. I'll be with you up until the 4 o'clock hour, and I pray you are staying cool and staying out of the way. You know what I mean? Have you heard the news? Afternoons are going to be sounding very different on Guardian Radio. Premiering next Monday, Strictly Speaking, with Earl Thompson, 2 to 4 p.m. every Monday to Thursday. And then on Fridays, Talk to Me with Gabby McKenzie, Enius, also at 2 to 4 p.m. on Fridays, beginning Friday, September 4th. And then coming to you Sundays, beginning September 6th, yours truly, Kahunanku Sarah, is unplugged from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And then, of course, you need to stay tuned for more exciting news about our fall lineup here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We appreciate you keeping it locked here as we always bring you fresh news, smart talk all day. When the phone lines open, the numbers will be 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259. The Family of Violence, 242-300-5720. The Guardian Radio text line is powered by BTC. And that number is 422-GR96, 422-4796. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com. We're also always on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 or BTC Flow Channel 612. And yes, please also note that I will be, yours truly, Kahunanku Sarah, will be on Thursdays with the Talking Heads. All right, that's 4 to 6 on Thursdays, and that's also starting next week. So make sure you tune in. So they ain't completely moved me out of the way on the week. I'll be on Thursdays, right? People's like, why they move you out the way? Why they move you? They ain't moved me out the way, man. Listen. What is for me is for me. You know what I mean? I'm happy for Earl. I'm happy for Gabby. And I want them to do very well. And I know I'll do well on Sundays, and I know I'll do well on Thursdays as well with the Talking Heads. But let's just go straight to the phone lines before I dive into today's conversation. Caller, you live.
Hello?
How you doing? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I really don't know what this thing is about, this tax thing.
Oh, the bin and the tin? Well, they can throw the tin in the bin.
Yeah, no, because I really want to know what's going on, because as far as I know is, the Progress government, I think they lied to us.
Well,
That's it. Because right now, it's like the payments I'm losing their paycheck, but the government ain't losing nothing. Is anything they're getting more?
Well, Bahamians, and that's kind of tying into what today's conversation is about. Bahamians are being asked to do more and more while receiving less and less. Yeah. Okay.
And I think I know I just want to make things finish, but I might forget.
Go ahead.
When they introduced the income tax, what they introduced it for?
Well, they're not calling it an income tax.
I know. I mean,
it's an identification number, huh?
What they introduced the VAT for? They paid on the debt, right?
But they didn't do that.
My point is, So why
they
keep
increase
taxing us?
they increase spending when they introduced VAT. All of the governments increased their spending.
My point exactly, but I can't say is, but they introduced, I mean, the people government lied us too. From that time.
Yeah,
Because when you say you to introduce VAT to pay down the debt and then do it, I mean, they lied to us.
yes, they did.
And right now, the thing that they're doing is unconstitutional. Because they ain't going to the government. I know this woman is. Because she ain't elected her. So what the hell she can be making these noise? Talking about whatever crap they talking about.
You mean the lady who announced it?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Because
just
we never elected her.
that's just a job.
A job, but then we need the man who was talking about. The buck start with him.
Yeah.
Stop with him.
Well, he gonna have to do some tall explaining. You
Because
understand?
I tell you right now, if they don't stop, the foolishness PRP in there for them, I ain't gonna lie.
You
What
gonna-
happened back then with Bum Road Riot and that stuff, it happened because people fed up, people tired.
Well, we're gonna be talking about that and a whole lot more. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much for your conversation or your comments today. Bahamians are being asked to do more and more while receiving less and less. I want to start just by looking at what we're getting, right? With regard to crime, with regard to education. And I want to talk about the psychology behind why we're seeing what we're seeing. As always, I can bring it from an African perspective. We can have a country full of African descendants and then act like the solution won't be found there, okay? We know that we just had a spot of, it seems like every weekend there's a spot of, crime that we're dealing with. You understand? Fatal shootings, gunmen, coming out of cars and shooting people in broad daylight, right? The overall murder count in the country, they say, has climbed to approximately 48. We don't even know what the number is. That's how sad we are in this country. Approximately 48. Because while they're writing the number, someone could be dying, right? Or it may not be ruled a homicide. All these little games we play. You understand? The police is investigating the police. Okay? The police is investigating the police. The Royal Bahamas Police Force faced an internal security breach after a confidential document detailing upcoming road checks and anti-firearm operations was leaked online. Police Commissioner Shanta Knowles warned that the leak threatens to compromise ongoing operations. What are we going to do about that? Who all had access to it? No? You just put confidential information in any officer's hand? Right? You had official warnings. Attorney General Wayne Monroe publicly, and this is from Eyewitness News, urged young people to stop engaging in gun violence, expressing deep concern over the prevalence of high-powered weapons and the involvement of young individuals in deadly altercations. I guess that's what he has to say. All right? But this continues to go on. All right? While this is going on, we're getting the results of the 2026 Bahamas National exams. Now, I'm not going to read through every single aspect of it, but as we look at BJC results, A through D pass rose to 65.76% from 64.54%, so we're headed in the right direction. BGCSE edged up from 70.13% to 71.49%. All right, this growth was driven by, they say, an increase in C and D grades, while the proportion of A and B grades actually declined. Now, when we look at what we really did well in, the vocational and elective success was really good. Art and design, 100% pass. Carpentry and joinery, 98.1% pass. Food and nutrition, 97.3% pass. All right, other strong areas, high marks were also maintained in graphical communication, 96.1%. Auto mechanics, 94.3%. Electrical installation, 86.7%. Of course, when you look at this gender social trend, they say that the female students continue to outperform male peers, registering a 68.4% A to D pass rate compared to a 62.65% for males. They talk about curriculum reform. In response to the widening gender gap, the ministry has engaged male educators to redesign curriculum tracks toward experiential learning and expand mentorship programs to support young men. And that's good that they're at least trying to do something, right? But I want to throw some reality at you from one of our great ancestors, Dr. Amos Wilson, right? We should be learning about him in schools already. But in many instances, many people have never heard of Dr. Amos Wilson. But he talks about the pedagogy of the imperialist versus the pedagogy imposed on its subjects. We're going to get into that in just a second. Let me take this phone call here on Guardian Radio Today. Caller, you're live.
Pleasant good evening, Doc. How you doing?
Hey, pleasant good evening, Sparky.
Sparky. You know, what is confusing me so much, before the last general election, we could have contacted everybody. Everybody coming to your gate, shaking on your gate.
This is a regular thing, Sparky. You know how they go.
No, but listen to the story now. You know, when you did this so often, and you reach to the point where can we keep doing this every 5 years? They shaking on your gate, sitting on your porch, bringing you drinks, having a good time, talking, listening to music, bam, bam. They want your vote. Then come election day, then we vote. And right after that, you call them, you text them, you voice note them, you call their office, you go to their office, you can't see them no more. They disappear. F&Ms and PLP. But you see them all over Facebook. And then I see, okay, for example, Rick Fox came down to my area. I didn't even ask that man. NBA champion, 3 ring.
Yeah.
He pulled up to my house. I told my friend, that's Rick Fox called me coming down there. The woman tell me that's a lie. That's scam. That ain't no, but the man showed him a 10 car.
Wow.
She can't take picture. Then the PLB, they cuss me out because I taking picture with Rick Fox. But hold on. But I'm taking picture with an NBA star with 3 damn ring on his finger.
A national hero, yes.
A national hero. Then the deputy prime minister of the PLB say, he even ensures Rick Fox was a Bahamian. But Rick Fox, old man named all Rick Fox, that had all kind of Bahamian business down here on Market Street, Nassau Street. Right? All Rick Fox is a Bahamian.
Of course.
Rick Fox's mother is a Canadian.
Of course.
Rick Fox went to Kingsway.
Yep.
Rick Fox went off to college. Rick Fox entered the NBA. He played with the Celtics. He played with the Lakers. He came back home, and they still asked that the man was a Bahamian.
Right. Get to the point, Sparky, because I gotta. Okay. Call dropped. Yeah, I mean that's the story of every election, right? You're the best friend until they win or they lose, right? But I mean, if they lose, you don't need to call them, right? Good day, Uncle. The commissioner ain't serious. Did she investigate what Pintard asked her to investigate? No, she didn't. Here it is. She talking about leak. The whole police force is a leak. She ain't serious. All right, Texter. This Texter says they're talking about the bin and the tin. They're going to give you one tax bill, basically. It will also be introduction to a single government ID to increase their ability to spy on every aspect of your life. Boy, these innovation moves are scary. Just like BEC, they do not understand, but they're making radical changes. Consider that they would put on an app giving your name, picture, ID, date of birth, and digital directions to your house. They thought it was great. So great that people called proudly to pronounce that this was a part of the government digitization efforts. They had no clue of the implications until people told them this was a massive breach of privacy. Well, let's hear what Dr. Amos Wilson has to say. The pedagogy. Pedagogy is the science of teaching. And I need us to understand how we operate and how we've been operating in this country for 53 years, because we have dealt with a education system that was left behind by imperialist, right? So the pedagogy of what Dr. Amos Wilson says is no such thing as equal education. We feel as if we're getting a Cambridge education or a Cambridge standard education or a education that is being measured by Cambridge, that we're getting the same education that students in Cambridge are getting. Even if a Bahamian goes to Cambridge, they're not getting the same education as the scholars and the students from Cambridge. And the reason why is because what makes the education what it should be is the intent of the student. If you have students that are entering the halls of learning thinking like an imperialist, their whole objective is to run the world. Okay? Is to rule. Right? However, if you enter the halls of learning as a subject, it doesn't matter what the teacher's teaching. It doesn't matter that you're going to get the same degree. Your intention towards the education is not going to have the same results. One group is learning so that they can rule the other group. Okay? And so, in the imperialist pedagogy, it's for the ruling or the imperial class. Education is designed to maintain dominance, to foster innovation, and secure resource control. These are things that we don't focus on. They get training to command. Imperial pedagogy trains its youth to rule, organize, manage, and extract resources globally. You got children right now in places that don't have aragonite learning about aragonite, that don't have salt learning about salt. There's also self-affirmation in the imperialist pedagogy. The curriculum reinforces the historical, cultural, and intellectual supremacy of the imperialist group. It presents their specific history as universal world history. So we believe that European history is world history. We believe that the religion that we've gotten from the European is universal religion. The economics is universal economics. The labor is universal, and I could go down the 9 levels of people activity. And we believe whatever the European has taught us, that is the universal way to do it. The imperialist pedagogy focuses on training thinkers, inventors, and strategists capable of solving the material problems of the empire. The material problems of the empire. Advancing technology, logistics, and economic warfare. We don't go to school to figure out how to solve the problems of our community. And that's because we have the pedagogy posed on the subjects. You see, when the imperialists design education for the subject population, the goals are inverted. Dr. Amos Wilson argues that this pedagogy is an act of psychological and cultural warfare designed to produce several things. Training to obey. That's why we had the conversation about hair the other day. The subject is not educated to build systems or command resources, but to be an efficient employee or functionary within the imperialist apparatus. That's why they train us for jobs that we cannot acquire here in the Bahamas, which is why 66% of those who go off to school do not come back, because we're not being trained to fix problems in this country. We're being trained to fix problems around the world because we're getting the education, the pedagogy of the imperialist. The pedagogy imposed on the subjects of the imperialist, are designed to produce historical amnesia or falsification. The history of the subject is systematically erased. We don't learn African culture. We don't learn African realities. Yes, we've started to move in that direction with the new history book. But again, if you're reading the history book as a subject, as opposed to an imperialist or opposed to somebody who's going to rule themselves, then you don't even take the history serious. The history of our people has been systematically erased, minimized, or falsified By stripping the subjects of their real historical consciousness, they lose the ability to see themselves as independent actors or creators. So that's why we run to the government for everything. That's why the crime rate, we could get to crime in just a second, because we got to understand the cowards that we've become. Because we don't feel like we could actually overthrow an oppressive mindset. I didn't say get no gun. I didn't say get no ammunition. I didn't say go after the government. I didn't say that. I said overthrow an oppressive mindset. That's the first place it has to start. The pedagogy of the subjects, which is what we've become, it produces alienation and self-hatred. My good friend Cleaver Duncombe always asks me, how come the Gonky Joes ain't shooting up each other? Well, this is part of the reason why. The subject, that's those of us who are subject to the imperialist system, is taught to value the culture, the aesthetics, and the intelligence of the imperialist while viewing their own heritage as primitive or pagan. You know, Bahamian music is rake and scrape and gumbe. Yeah, but the national anthem ain't rake and scrape or gumbe. You ever thought of that? When we go around the world and we win gold medals, they don't play no rake and scrape or gumbe song. No disrespect to Timothy Gibson. Please don't think that I'm knocking him. I'm knocking the system that wouldn't even allow him to write a rake and scrape or gumbe song for the national anthem. But this creates what Dr. Wilson terms as a state of psychological self-defeat. That's where we're at. That's why the police is investigating the police. That's why we having 2 and 3 murders in 12 hours. The subject also learns to be a consumer over a producer. The subject population is trained in theory rather than practical application. That's why when you look at the scores of the national exams, those subjects that we did very well in, the vocational and the elective success. Art and design, 100% pass. Carpentry and joinery, 98.1% pass. Food and nutrition, 97.3% pass. Auto mechanics, graphical communication. Right? We are learning, if we follow that track, which I'm happy to see the Ministry of Education allowing people to get diplomas in these things that we can experience practical application. We'll be on track to ruling ourselves. The subject population is trained in theory rather than practical application. If you don't know how you can use calculus, if you don't know how you can use algebra, if you don't know, because you use those things to rule yourself. But if you're only trying to get a job, you can be asking, why I need to do this maths? Huh? Why I got to read this book? If you don't know how to transpose what you're learning into actually ruling yourself, you're just a subject, a self-hating subject that's too much of a coward to actually face the system that has put its foot on your ancestors and your neck for hundreds of years. That's what we are. You may not like how that sounds, but prove me wrong. So we've become consumers over producers, yielding graduates who excel at consuming goods and ideas, but are incapable of producing things that build community, wealth, or infrastructure. If you're a PhD in any subject, you're the expert, which means you should be fixing the economy if you're a PhD in the economy. You go off to medical school and all you doing is working for the pharmaceutical companies. You ain't reversing diabetes. You ain't reversing cancer. You selling drugs. And we clapping for that. I ain't saying don't go to school, you know. I saying go to school to fix the problems in your community. Otherwise, call the radio station till you drop dead. Because that's what we seem like we doing. I'm going to get into crime in just a second. Let me get to the phone lines. Call you live.
Hey, good day, sir.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Are you what? Because this country in a pissy mess.
I always say, you know, for years that I don't know, common sense need to be a curriculum in school.
No, let me say this. Common sense is supposed to be taught at home and in the community. We put too much emphasis on what's taught in schools. The home and the community plays a role. That's why you have a PTA. We want to put everything on the schools. No, the school's supposed to be an extension of what the community and the home is teaching.
Parents think the schools are babysitters.
Yeah, because the parents came up and unfortunately under a pedagogy imposed on subjects. We're just subjects. We're not rulers of our land. That's why.
Let me bring something to your attention, and maybe you could tell me if it's essential or not.
Sure.
Do you think that CCTV is essential?
Now it is, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that they're up and running?
I don't know. I mean, some areas, but not everywhere.
Okay. Let me say this. I passed Shirley Street and the corner by the bridge. Marquis Street.
Yeah, Marquis, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And heading west.
Mm-hmm.
Past Marquis Street. There's a CCTV to the left-hand side on the lamp pole.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's covered in vine, covered in bush.
So there's no way that could be working.
No, that way that could be working. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go fast track and go around by Frank Hanna and Columbus Primary.
Okay.
You leave Columbus Primary heading to Frank Hanna. Right there on the curve, there's another CCTV being covered in vine. A couple months ago, I saw a technician waking. And I said, oh, that technician can pull all that vine from around the camera.
That's what common sense would tell you to do.
He didn't even touch a vine. He fixed the TV and gone.
Well, they can see the vines better now. Well, go ahead, caller. Let me get your point out. All right, the caller's gone. Well, these are all symptoms. That's a symptom. We're getting to the root of the reality today, but that's a symptom. Let's go to the next call. Now, the people who's supposed to be monitoring the CCTV is the Royal Bahamas Police Force, as the Tribune is reporting. But they busy investigating themselves. You know what I mean? We're going to run to a break here on Guardian Radio today. It's about 35 minutes after the 2 o'clock hour. Keep it locked.
Keep our position away. That's why we strap with the case. Don't get kidnapped from your place, cause it could happen today. Not knowing how to behave. That is the sign that you made.
You've heard the conversations, but you haven't heard them quite like this. I'm Gabby, and Fridays are about to get a little more interesting. From the headlines everyone's talking about to real life, culture, and entertainment, there's always a seat for you at my table. For the conversations that inform, perspectives that inspire, moments that entertain, authenticity that cannot be contained. Talk to me with Gabby, Fridays at 2 p.m. on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
Beginning Friday, September 4th.
Managing your investments just got easier with RF Bank and Trust. You can now deposit funds directly into your investment account from any local bank using your brokerage cash account number. It's simple, secure, and funds are available within 1 to 2 business days. Just log into RF Online to find your account number, add RF Bank and Trust as a payee in your preferred banking app, and send your funds directly to your RF account. To learn more, visit rfgroup.com or call 603-6000. RF Bank and Trust. Money at work.
At Star General, you can go gold. Comprehensive car insurance covers loss or damage from accidents, fire, theft, and third-party liability. But the Gold package gives you increased coverage for rental car and windscreen, personal accident, medical benefits, deductible waiver, and 24-hour roadside assistance where available. Our Star General Gold package also gives you up to $2,500 for accidental damage to a rental car anywhere in the Bahamas. Go gold with Star General. Insurance made simple.
Bahamas, get ready. Strictly Speaking with Earl Thompson starts Monday, August 31st at 2 p.m. 2 hours, Strictly Speaking, from Nassau to the Family Islands. Strictly Speaking is your voice. We will have exciting guests. We will talk politics, cost of living, culture, and community affairs. No filter, no fair, just strictly facts. Monday to Thursday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., right here on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Strictly Speaking is your voice. Strictly Speaking.
Orthopedics, where movement becomes medicine and treatments become triumphs. At Cleveland Clinic, it's more than just repairing what's broken. It's how we put ourselves back together to reconstruct, rehabilitate, and restore the things that give us life. The future of orthopedics is already in motion. For every care in the world, Cleveland Clinic.
Craving crispy? Meet the BK Bacon Ranch Crispy Chicken. A golden crunchy chicken filet topped with smoky bacon, creamy ranch, and all the flavor you're hungry for. It's crispy, it's savory, it's ranch-loaded deliciousness in every bite. Don't settle for an ordinary chicken sandwich. Head to Burger King and grab a BK Bacon Ranch Crispy Chicken Combo with onion rings and a drink. Make lunch loud. More food, less money. Only at Burger King Nassau.
Every day we're told how to work, worship, love, and live by systems that were never built for our flourishing. But underneath the noise, there's an older wisdom waiting to be rediscovered. Tune in with me, Kahun Anku Sarah, as I invite you to set aside the distractions and spend 90 minutes reconnecting to what's real on Unplugged with Kahun Anku Sarah every Sunday at 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. 90 minutes to remember who you are.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Calling me a monster, calling us fake. No way, no way, no way. Calling me a monster just 'cause we say it. We're from the block where it rains, where we create barricades.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Kahun Anku Sarah, also known as Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III. Let's go back straight to the phone lines, and then we'll get some text and call you live.
I thought the program was starting on Sunday.
Hey, wherever I am, the program is.
Brother, I thought it was... Listen here.
That's a little taste of Unplugged.
Hey, let me tell you something. You recall the Coconut Gold Festival, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay. After that kickoff back in the 60s,
Mm-hmm.
every year it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But what was I think strange was that it was no help from the government.
Mm.
It was just the people
Mm-hmm.
and the community.
Yeah.
And I think what went wrong is that the politicians went down there and they saw that. And what came to their mind was that if this what the people could do without us. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, eventually, it was hailed and glorified as something we need, and they told us, it was need of a permanent site.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved it across the road on Blue Road,
Mm-hmm.
and it was called the Jumbe Village Experience.
Yeah, Ed Moxie.
No. Ed was no longer there because after it moved over there, it went on government property.
Okay.
A couple of years later, it was bulldozed to the ground.
Because we can't have you ruling yourself.
No.
You can't have you ruling yourself.
No. See, and I think, when you see the politicians, they need to have something to say about culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we get hurt.
Mm.
It took me a while to understand that most people send their children off to school to be brainwashed. Ideally, I would tell anyone,
mm-hmm.
send your child here for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they could understand, what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go off.
Mm-hmm.
But you going off, in the first year, you will get what is called a liberal mindset. And a mindset only produces certain things. From James Allen, right? He says, mind is the master mold which makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and weaving what he wills brings forth 1,000 joys or 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. His environment is looking glass. Now, our problem is that we have leaders in this present era right now who thinking in secret, and they ain't telling us nothing.
Nope.
They ain't telling us nothing.
No Freedom of Information Act. They ain't interested in that.
And our national debt is pegged at $14 billion right now.
Wow.
And I want folks to understand, when the fellows go to Parliament and there is a request for a certain amount of money, it's actually a request for a loan. And we have to borrow money now to pay a portion of our debt.
Yeah.
So, if the Prime Minister is saying the buck stops with him, more than the buck needs to stop with him. We need to start producing. And stop traveling around the world playing dress up. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Traveling around the world playing dress up.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's why this conversation is so important, because we got to understand. See, behavior is a function of our psychology. So if we don't understand the psychology that's been implanted in us, or the psychology that we've internalized, then we'll keep looking at the symptoms. We'll never look at the mindset. You just read that piece about the mind. Well, whose mind do we have? Do we have? We have the mind of the psychopath inside of our heads right now.
And you know something? The tools of our warfare, whichever tools we use to fight with, reveal who we are. And I think, our political leaders will have to keep this in mind. You don't have to tell nobody who you is.
Right.
All you got to do is watch what you're doing.
Yep. What you do speak so loud, I can't hear a word you say.
Can't hear what you're saying.
So my grandma used to tell us.
Everybody.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. This texter says, listen, Uncle. Hope I spelled that correctly. It's ANKU is the name, is the way to spell it, ANKU. I'm getting goosebumps. This is so accurate. We have been trained to still be slaves to the system, although we are technically free. I had a eureka moment when my son told me, when looking at universities and a career path, that he feels in high school he has been taught to be an employee and not an employer. And he wants to change the trajectory of his life and be an entrepreneur, an employer, and help others by incubating their thoughts and interests to do the same. Well, congratulations. Congratulate, because he's not thinking like a slave anymore. All right? Uncle, we are losing our identity as a people. That's why we have so much crime. It's a systematic attack on our people. We have nations around the world with little or no crime. For instance, Japan, as they have kept their cultural heritage. They sleep with doors open, leave wallets on tables that no one removes. Reminds me of the Bahamas in the 80s, where we respected and loved one another. We want to be like America and now have their issues. Yep. Let's go to the phone lines. Call you live.
Uncle, good afternoon.
Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for calling.
Well, that last text just now, person who said that we don't, in essence, we don't know who we are.
In fact, I just had a nice conversation about 2 days ago where I put to one of the show hosts, from Guardian Radio, and I said, do you know that the average Bahamian don't even know what it is to be a Bahamian? What is the definition of a Bahamian?
Yeah.
Nobody, we haven't crafted nothing to describe who we are. Most persons look at we as Bahamians because we count salad. But what is the true definition of a Bahamian? What is a Bahamian?
Yeah.
And nobody hardly can give you something that are descriptive, that can actually state why we are Bahamians, why we call ourselves Bahamian. What is a Bahamian?
Right.
And that's something until you identify, until you are able to, then you cannot tell where you're going or what is the become of who you are, why you are, and where you're going. So just move it on.
Thank you so much.
We'll
Appreciate
talk
it.
soon.
Yes, indeed. The issue that we're having with regards to our identity is that Bahamian in and of itself is not our identity. It's our nationality. Okay? It's your geopolitical identity. It's how the world sees you once you have met all of the criteria for a person that is called a Bahamian. It has little to do with your ethnicity, because you have Bahamians of varying ethnicities, and that ethnicity ties more into your identity than your nationality. And that's why we're having this double-mindedness, as W.E.B. Du Bois would talk about, right? We're having this double-mindedness because we want to ignore ethnicity. We want to ignore the root, and we want to hold up the fruit. The Bahamas is the fruit. It is not the root. Right? So until we understand that we must reclaim our history, and again, this is the solutions that Dr. Amos Wilson, proposed, understanding that there's a pedagogy of the imperialist, those who rule us, and a pedagogy of the subjects, those of us who are subject to the imperialist systems. Our politicians, before they can work on our behalf, they must swear to the king, his heirs, and his successors forevermore. Oh, that's just a formality. Okay, but don't say it then. Don't tell me there's power in the tongue on Sunday, and then Monday go in the House of Parliament and swear to the king, his heirs, and his successors forevermore. That's hypocritical. That's confusing at best. History must be used as a political and psychological tool to restore the subject's agency and confidence. We lack self-confidence. We lack power. Agency is power. The power to actually make things happen in your country for yourself. You're sitting around watching everybody get by in your country, and you can't function in your own country. Shifting curriculums away from abstract Western theories toward food security, agriculture, local health systems, localized resource management. I met a young man this summer who was in a program with my daughter. Shout out to the Phlebotomy Mastery Institute. They had a wonderful Miss Miller over there in Prince Charles. Had a wonderful program for people in aspiring healthcare workers, doctors, etc. And the young man, he was there. He did it. He did well. But they said, "Well, do you want to be a doctor?" He said, "No, I want to be a bone fisherman." He's from Andres. And I just smiled. I say, okay. But he still needs to know the science. Training children not to just look for jobs. We got to stop that. But become self-determining creators, institution builders, and protectors of their own community's economic interests. Your education is supposed to assist with the survival of the community. Not so you could get good enough grades to leave and don't come back. Or when you come back, you aren't accepted anyway. Look at Rick Fox. All he do for the country, we ain't know if he's a Bahamian. We ain't know, who he is. My Lord, you knew who he was when you was betting on him. Huh? When he's high-fiving Magic Johnson, then you knew who he was then. He was Bahamian then. Now your rank political ignorance will allow you to ignore a Bahamian citizen. That's foolishness. Pure foolishness. Let's go to the phone lines. Call you live.
Yes, I'm cool. How you doing? Seattle Johnson here.
Hey, my brother. How you doing?
Yeah, I called some friends in New Providence and told them to park in the back so you'll have way out.
I guarantee you the roof.
They said, you know what? What's more dangerous, right? It's not a black man with a gun. It's a black man with an open mind.
True.
It becomes very dangerous.
Yeah.
Just let me touch on Gombe, right? You know, there used to be a Gombe festival down in Miami that actually set the trend that was taken over. It's one of the largest things. Just think back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, early 80s when I went to high school and college in the U.S., 100,000 people taking over a street.
That's wow.
Right. And we used to support it from here, and I think the cruise ships and other people support it, and it just died. Okay? An event that directly tied us into the fact that in 1876, we helped build in the area of some areas within Miami that became the stable of black wealth, from the black millionaires and a whole lot of events. So we have a strong history.
Yeah.
But one of the problem I think we call it the pedagogical ideology is what we have adopted, and I think I spoke to you about this word coloniality, where the survival of the colonial systems of power after colonial rule has ended. We have married that. And so this is why we embrace it. If you want to see it in full spectrum, go down to the courthouse and see us wearing wigs.
Yeah.
It's like we can't.
They say even the law know you got to act like a woman to win an argument.
Yeah.
Jamonki say that. Jamonki say that.
Right. But speaking about monkeys, right? I want you to remember. I don't know if you ever heard the story of the monkeys and the cold water and the ladder.
No. Tell me.
Okay. What it says is that they put 5 monkeys in a cage, right? And every time they put some bananas to the top of the ladder, and every time they try to go to the top of the ladder, they release ice cold water, bone chilling.
Wow.
Right? Painful, and they stop, and they kept doing it, and eventually they had these monkeys conditioned. Then they took the banana out, and they then put no, I don't think they took banana, but it was similar to this, but they replaced another monkey, and he tried to go up the ladder with a banana without the cold water, and the other 4 monkeys beat him up. And they keep replacing them, and actually none of the original 5 monkeys was there. Neither was the cold water. But the monkeys learned that you attempt to go up the ladder, you get your butt beat. There you reach for something that is done. So and that's part of our coloniality, is that we have a system, and this is why we educate people, like you say, not to fix our system, but to perpetrate the system that we have always had in place. And so until we understand that colonialism and coloniality almost are identical, they're twin sisters, that we will continue to do what we have to. The Bahamas, we talk about the Bahamas being digitally prepared. We talk about us being geographically located, all of these different things. But none of those things were designed, these are natural attributes. But the systems we use is never designed for us to build. It was designed for a system of extraction.
Yeah.
And so even though we respectfully hear people say, let's export the aragonite and get rich, which is the equivalent of selling your heart so you could have pocket money. Because the aragonite is what you need to build your country up to survive global warming, if it's true. So it's like saying, so why would you sell it?
Right.
And then what you going to do?
Right.
Cease to exist. And well, by the way, when you begin to extract it in the wholesome nature, that the volume that you talk about, you're now deteriorating the very landmass you should be rebuilding.
Wow.
It's madness.
Yes, it
and
is.
So because what we believe is that we have to sell parts of ourselves to be someone we were born with. And so until we actually begin to do it and actually begin to realize that we have what it takes to build our country intellectually and the physical things that God has given us, the environment, whether you want to call it the aragonite, we have 125 unique natural resources that's probably worth in the trillions. And don't mind the others who talk about they talk about 3, 4, 5 things they could sell.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about the things that is part of who you are to be preserved.
Right.
And so when you look at the other things like the crystal caves and the fact that the stromatolites is the first existence of life on Earth is still in existence here in the Bahamas.
Mm.
And the blue caves have the history of the world, all these different things. And what we do is say, let's destroy it so we can actually have some money in our pocket rather than preserve it and to have people come to admire it and be part of it. So you're right on track, and I look forward to your Sunday contribution.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes, indeed. This texter says, any man who isn't uncomfortable bowing to the king or queen is a danger to the African diaspora. Amen. This texter says, high school gives you an educational foundation. Then you move to specialize at tertiary level. We should be taught that after foundation is laid, you then become an expert in resolving your country's issues. Amen. That's exactly what we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, we cannot continue to build heaven for the oppressor. We are in direct violation of Scripture. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. For who? For the oppressor? Because we've been in their heaven for 6,000 years. Some would say 400 years. We speak in their language. We worship in their God. I went to church this Sunday, and, I ain't knocking the church itself, so I ain't got to call the name. But, my Lord, everyone in the stained glass window white? Everybody you portraying as a biblical character white? And just that one church. I just was reminded of how our mentality has been colonized. Even our divinity has been colonized. And we are breaking the 10 Commandments. We're not honoring our mothers and our fathers. That's why our days are not as long as they could be. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking crime and the cowardice that allows crime to continue in our country because we lack self-confidence. My name is Kahun Anku Sarah. This is Guardian Radio Today. Keep it locked.
Comprehending the hate that the oppressed generate when they've been working like slaves to get some minimum.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Calling me a monster, calling us fake. No way, no way, no way. Calling me a monster just cause we say it. We're from the block where it rains, where we create barricades, keep our position.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio Today. My name is Kahun Anku Sarah, also known as Dr. Cleveland W. Enius III. And Bahamians are being asked to give more and more while receiving less and less. We had a spot of, seemed like every other weekend we got a spot of murders, right? Black men killing black men. And as my good friend Cleveland Duncan would say, how come the Conky Joes ain't killing each other? It's not that there's something inherently wrong with us. Again, we look at the work of Dr. Amos Wilson, someone who we should be learning about in our schools. He wrote a book, his seminal work, Black on Black Violence, The Psychodynamics of Black Self-Annihilation in Service of White Domination. In service of white domination. Someone's selling these bullets. Someone's selling these guns. When the Americans get fined with the guns, they pay a fine and they send them back. When we get fined with them, we just go to jail. Right? This reality, Wilson frameworked this behavior, not as a genetic or a natural trait. It ain't because the Conky Joes are less violent. Conky Joes ain't experiencing what we experiencing. But as a political and a psychological survival strategy. So we who have to take on the stress that we have been taking on for 53 plus years, we have a political and psychological survival strategy under this systemic oppression. So the first thing that Wilson analyzes or breaks down is this dynamic into, he does it into several core concepts. The first is the redirection of aggression, self-annihilation. So Wilson explains that when people are oppressed, like us'ns, they naturally experience intense anger and frustration. It is very frustrating to spend the kind of money you got to spend to go off to school and then come back and can't really get a job worth that education. That's very, very frustrating. It's very frustrating to not even be able to go off to school. It's very, very frustrating to not be safe in your neighborhood. It's very, very frustrating to hit potholes. The police on the corner trying to make sure your car is roadworthy, but the roads ain't car-worthy. That's frustrating. However, Dr. Wilson says, attacking the actual oppressor. Who's the oppressor? Racism, white supremacy. When you attack racism, white supremacy, that carries a high risk of swift, lethal retaliation. Like C. Allen just said, those monkeys trying to climb to the top of the ladder, they get beat. You can't say nothing against racism, white supremacy. To minimize this immediate danger, the oppressed person's psyche represses aggression toward the oppressor and channels it towards safer targets, themselves or other black people. I can't attack racism, white supremacy, but guess who I could attack? Nato. Them. Myself. Suicide. Huh? So the result is black on black violence. And an infighting act as a release valve for rage. When you see these murders happening, 3-4 murders in 12 hours, this is a release valve for rage. This keeps the dominant group safe and untouched while the oppressed community destroys itself. This is very strategically planned. Very strategically planned. This ain't about hating nobody, but this is about not loving who ultimately don't have your best interests. The second thing he talks about is this implanted personality, internalized racism. Dr. Wilson asserted that white supremacy implants an orientation of self-hatred into the minds of black people from a very young age. So when you buying these little white baby dolls, that's why in Holy Coptic Church we have a baby doll give back. Like how you hand in, the police let you hand in illegal guns to give you a little amnesty. We just buy black baby dolls and give it to our little black children. And they could give us the little white ones. And you may say that is racism, but I want you to show me the community of white people who buying the black dolls for their children. Huh? This is identifying with the oppressor. Black individuals are conditioned to view themselves through the lens of the oppressor. We call that slave mind. I don't care how free we say we are. If the mind is enslaved, we are not free. They begin to unconsciously accept the propaganda of their own inferiority. I heard a talk show host say today that black people just have a proclivity towards being sexual. That's like, wow, that's a trope if I ever heard one. That's why the raping going on, because we just like sex more than everybody else. That's not what it is. Because they internalize these values, black men may act to protect the very system that subjugates them. That's why we got so many apologists. When you start talking this way, we make excuses. Oh, Uncle, man, you just angry. Uncle, you just, you hate white people, Uncle. That's not true. And I don't have to explain why I don't hate white people. Any white person who knows me, no, I don't hate white people. I don't hate black people. I hate stupidity of people. I hate the behaviors of some people. That's among all people. So black men may act to protect the very system that subjugates them, mistaking submission or coping mechanisms for quote-unquote natural behavior or pragmatic survival. I could just keep it to myself because, even some pastors will tell you, yeah, I know Jesus was black, but the people ain't ready for it yet. That ain't what Jesus did. That ain't what Jesus did. He told the truth. The truth will make us free. He also talked about the politics of misdirected ego. Callers, I see you coming right now. The social settings, black men may react with intense violence over minor interpersonal insults, such as a look, or a minor dispute, or you walk on my shoes. Dr. Wilson pointed out the deep irony of this. A man will risk his life or freedom to kill another black man over a perceived insult to his ego, yet will remain passive and cooperative in the face of massive structural insults inflicted by economic and political systems. You won't do nothing about that. You won't speak out about it. You won't organize to actually stop being dependent on it, but you'll kill each other over nonsense. This disparity is the core of what is often critiqued as choosing compliance over confrontation. We have submitted, we've humbled ourselves to a cowardice that doesn't allow for us to address the problems, and our bruised ego is soothed by us beating up on people who can't defend themselves. We soothe our ego by beating up our women. We soothe our ego by beating up our children. We soothe our ego by killing each other. But you can't fix the problem if you don't diagnose it. How do we overcome this condition? Let's hear from the callers and then we'll get into that. Caller, you're live.
Hi, Uncle. How are you?
I'm well. Good to hear your voice.
Same apply.
I think you may have to turn on your radio.
Yes, so let me. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I was thinking to myself while driving, just when people was getting used to your voice,
yeah.
Then you got one day to say what you got to say. You got to do some quick study, quick talking. I don't know. They got you down to one day.
Yeah. Well, that's for now. The Most High is the best of planners.
Huh?
The Most High is the best of planners. So, yeah, we can find a way.
Nevertheless, I started to study a topic. What you'll be talking about the 9 threads. I really did some deep dive on that, and it's very interesting.
Good.
I even made up a flyer. It was very interesting. So I'm studying on that. I'm trying to be a good student and be ahead of it.
Solid. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, and if persons really get to understand what you are going to be talking about, it would help to heal our nation, because there's so many, like you're saying, that those 9 threads, when they're woven together, will bring unity and love back to the nation.
Yeah.
Oh, what I wanted to say too, this is the question. Have you had an opportunity to go into the prison system and speak with our men to help them to transform their thinking and learn to love themselves and love each other?
Yeah, I was there about maybe 4 to 6 weeks ago. I was there, and I've written to the chaplain to have some regular contact in the correctional center. I haven't heard from him yet, so if you're listening and you know the chaplain of the correction center, please tell him to respond to Kahun Anku Sarah, the Holy Coptic Church.
I will speak to my people at my church to see how best they could help you with that.
Yeah.
Also, what about our schools?
Well, I mean, I was in a school, a Caffrey International Academy, for many years, so that kept me busy. But I have not done a school tour yet, which I look forward to doing in the near future. Because
Anyways, thank you so much for your time, and
Yes.
God bless you, and what He has called you to do for such a time as this.
Thank you so much. Fortunately, I was able to write the first chapter in the new history book, so I'm in the schools in that way. But I look forward to being able to do a school tour, because we need to wake up the consciousness. There's a divinity that's inherently within us, and all of the noise and the distractions ultimately put us in a mindset where we don't tap into it. So we're gonna look at exposing, those who need it and want it this way to that reality. Caller, you live.
A question, Uncle.
How you doing, man?
Oh, yeah. A question.
Sure.
How do we equip ourselves to have more control and stop ourselves from reacting to issues and problems that are really symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Because I often have to confront black people who are upset, black people and white people,
mm-hmm.
who are upset with this thing of the white Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you would do just a step back a bit
mm-hmm.
and understand that a person that looked like that could not come out of the demographic.
Exactly.
Couldn't come out of it. But still, you still have people who get unhinged over something that is not factual.
Right.
I think, the issue of the facts, I think, we are more, we get more problems from stuff that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That has been presented as fact.
Hosea 4:6 says we are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
But that passage, right,
mm-hmm.
has more to do with we are destroyed for the lack of constraint.
No, that's not what it says. It says knowledge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the knowledge you have constrains you.
The knowledge you have brings the memory and the reconnection to the Most High back. That's what the knowledge does, and it constrains you to stay on the straight and narrow path that allows for balancement to be regained in the communities.
See, you're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? But when they say it's the truth that sets you free,
mm-hmm.
it's not the truth that sets you free.
What is it?
It's the truth that you know that sets you free.
That's why they say,
and the knowledge
you're
thing,
right. It says you shall know the truth. You got to know it first. And that word, that word know is the same word they use for sexual intercourse in the Bible. So you got to know the knowledge the same way you know your spouse.
So, there's
be intimate with it.
But there is a constraint issue involved. Okay, because you if you're married, you're only going to have sex with one person. And you are constrained from having sex with anybody else.
Yeah, but you are, if you was an African, you could have more than one wife.
Hey, listen there. I need you to try.
Hey, they say, listen. They say you're supposed to love your wife like Jesus loved the church. Jesus loved 7 churches in Revelation. But go ahead. Sundays is going to be great. Just make sure you tune in on Sundays. We can be talking about those things.
No. But I got your phone number, so.
Yeah. You can call me whenever.
I got your phone number.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. But the question you asked, I want to jump on that because that ties me into the text to say 7 churches. Yeah. Tune in on Sunday. We're gonna talk about that. How do we overcome this mindset, right? Dr. Wilson, his ultimate conclusion was that the liberation requires an overhaul of consciousness, the same knowledge that we were talking about the last caller, right? We got to stop choosing the safer, self-destructive path that the community must recognize. They must understand the internal community issues are psycho-politically engineered to maintain European dominance. If you don't understand the problem, you can't get to a solution. So you got to understand that there's a psycho-politically engineered. That's why people will get mad, even though, like the caller said, there's no way this white boy could have been hiding in Egypt. It's just no way. It's like a blue black man going to Switzerland to hide. It don't work like that. We must shift from asking for inclusion to integration. See, what the oppressor understands is that power allows you to control your destiny. We running around here trying to be liked. We running around here trying to make people like us. So we got to understand that the internal community issues are or we must shift from asking for inclusion or integration within oppressive systems to building autonomous economic, political, and cultural institutions. That's what C. Allen was saying. Why we just want to sell the Aragonite? Why not use it? The scores on the national exams show that we have the competence in the areas that are necessary to utilize the resources to build our country. Now, we have to study history and psychology from an African-centered perspective to dismantle internalized self-hatred. The Bible says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 22, when the two eyes become one, then your body will be full of light. Well, whose eyes? Your eyes. Not the white man's eyes, not the Indian eyes, not the Oriental eyes. They know we at the bottom of the totem pole. That's why they'll work together to keep us there. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you're live. Go ahead, caller. We can hear you.
Hello.
Hey, Sparky.
How you doing?
Right
you
now.
know, Doc, I'm looking forward to Sunday.
Yes, sir.
And calls be dropping out and this and that and the next.
Yeah.
And the reason for these talk shows is because we be trying to find out things. We try to better the Bahamas and this and that and the next. And we try to be decent. We don't call nobody. We don't use no obscene language. We don't degrade nobody. But then we have individuals. I must say that. We have individuals, for some strange reason, I be talking to you, you be talking to me, they disconnect you because they don't like Sparky.
I don't like you, Sparky.
But I ask them why.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I call you, there's certain producers say, Sparky, I'm not letting you call in today. I say, why? I don't want you to call in.
Sparky, they say you don't stay on topic, man. You don't stay on topic. That's why they say they cut you.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I want to talk with you. You want to talk with me.
Yeah.
But I can't get to talk with you because there's an individual between us that will disconnect me.
But they letting you talk now, man. They letting you talk now. What you got to say about the topic today?
But I'm asking you, why did they do this?
Oh, there you go. You got to stay on topic, Sparky. Let's get to the next caller. Caller, you live.
Yes, good day, Dr. Enius. Hope you doing.
Hey, my brother, how you doing, man? Pray all is well with you and your family.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I wasn't able to listen to the full show. I was in and out. But Sparky, if you're still listening, Sparky, just want this is the person who bring you that Coke in a cup,
Yes,
just in case you didn't know, this is the voice of the man who brought you the Coke in a shell cup, Sparky.
Mm.
But I was listening, and you familiar with a word called demagoguery?
Demagoguery. I've heard the word before. What do you understand it to mean?
Demagoguery is like you see how in religion, when the pastor teaches about, basically they try to play with your emotions as opposed to like the intellect and teaching you things. That's why they say men don't really go to church, because it's an emotional thing. It ain't logical. It's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
That's why more women. You ever heard that before?
Yeah. They say.
Well, demagoguery is a political way where they use emotion as opposed to
emotional manipulation.
They pull on your emotional strength.
Yeah.
Demagoguery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they do, because see, the whole political scene here is drama.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We don't talk about the policies and the legislation that these people be juggling and passing. We talk about, we talk about what they say about each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? We talk about the stupid thing. We talk about the things that make no difference. You know, the kind of way. But demagoguery is a type of political process they trick us up with. But what I want to say is this. I was listening, man, and I mean, like, in Africa, right? Because you're talking about Africa and African principles, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Africa, they say they used to choose the leaders based on the individual's ability to find solutions
Mm-hmm.
to the problems,
Mm-hmm.
which makes plenty sense.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yep.
Yeah. In Africa, if you want to be a leader, you had to be able to find solutions to the problems.
That's right.
Now, if you can't find a solution to a problem, you don't deserve to be a leader. You shouldn't even be speaking if all you could be doing is just reiterating the fact that we have a problem.
Yeah.
That's complaining all day, but
we don't know that.
Nowhere, you understand?
Yeah.
And that's what I've been telling you all on this radio that you all been doing from the time I've been listening to this radio.
I don't want this radio
I
station.
want to hear one of you all who come up with a way to a solution.
So you haven't been listening to the solutions that I was given from Dr. Amos Wilson?
I heard some generalities of what we need to do, what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like how
So
the
let me-
house on
let me-
fire and we need water.
So first you got to know the house on fire.
But we know the house on fire. We've
No,
been knowing
everybody
the house
don't know that because when you say oppressive systems, people say, "What you talking about? We free." So we got to get people to understand that we are still under oppressive systems.
Yeah, but see, and see, like for me, like I said though, solutions, brother.
Yeah.
Solutions. You know what I mean? And when you see someone with a solution, right? When you see someone with a definite solution or a definite way to a change in the country, and you ignore that, and you are indifferent to that, then you are a part of the problem. Do you understand that? You agree?
I agree.
Now, I have shown you a way to a solution. Now, but let me show you this. Did you see the conversation that you had with the lady just now?
Mm-hmm.
A little while back when she was talking about the prison?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see how you asked her if she can, like speak in a manner to promote so that you can get an opportunity to do the thing so you can spread
No,
the word?
she said she would do that.
No,
I said I went directly to prison. She said she would go to her church.
Saw how you asked her to go and try and see if she can.
You listen to how
you
listen to how she wasn't combative and disrespectful. You listen to that part.
Brother, that is
That's very relevant. That's very relevant.
The point, brother, listen, brother. The point I'm asking you is that do you see how you asked her to promote the idea so that you can get the opportunity to speak to individuals? Yes or no?
I didn't ask her to do anything for me. She said she would do it. I went directly to prison. I wrote to the chaplain. She didn't write for me.
You going to the prison, I'm saying that in the conversation with her, you told her about speaking to individuals to let them know more.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, make your point.
Yes or no? Did you do that?
That's what you say I did, so let's say
no,
yes.
brother, I
get to your point.
Now, so I ain't gotta say. I'm asking you. You can say it for yourself. You can't say that's what
I already answered you. You just want me to say what you want to say. I ain't got time for that today. All right, so because whether you want to know it or not, call up. People texting me right now saying you just running on with a bunch of foolishness. So I trying to help you to make a point, right? But it's as sharp as a spoon, so I can't help you. All right. Sparky would spend 80% of his 10 minutes time crying about why he isn't allowed to talk. Use the 10 minutes to talk on your subject rather than 8 minutes crying about not being given time. Listen, man, I try to work with everybody, but I agree with you, Dexter. Demagoguery is a political strategy or style of speaking that wins support by appealing to people's emotions, fears, and prejudices instead of using facts, logic, and reasoned arguments. Yes, I just pulled it up myself. So thank you so much, Dexter. Let's go to the phone line again. Caller, you live.
Yeah, this is me again, brother.
Okay. Are you ready to make your point?
No, are you ready to answer the simple question I asked?
I answered your question.
Because my point depends on your answer to the question, brother.
So I said hypothetically, let's say yes. I want to hear what you got to say.
But why do you got to be hypothetical?
Because I didn't say what you said.
Look, anyhow, you have a good show, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. You're going to make me say what you want me to say. And then when I call you the oppressor, you can get mad. Don't try to oppress me, don't. I know what I said. All right? Now, Dr. Amos Wilson, in his critique or his study of our behavior, he understood that there were things that we need to overcome in order to get over this conditioning. So as I started to say, he talked about an overhaul of consciousness. Now, you can't overhaul a consciousness. Consciousness is awareness. All right? You got to be aware of what it is that you are ultimately subject to. And what racism, white supremacy has done, and this is in the work of Dr. Marimba Ani, okay? she talks about the fact that the system of racism, white supremacy never wants to be the subject. They never want to be scrutinized. They never want to be seen for what they truly are. So they would rather have us point at each other. You start talking about slavery, they say, oh, but you was the one you all sold yourselves into slavery. Yeah, but in the context of what? Those people who sold themselves, are they rich? Were they sitting at the Berlin Conference? No, they weren't. So they'll always try to turn the conversation back to the subject as an imperialist. And that is necessary in order for us to not recognize the systemic traps. Right? We got to understand that internal community issues are psychopolitically engineered to maintain European dominance. We have to shift from asking for inclusion. You get a job, and the first thing you want to do, I'm not saying you shouldn't work for other people to get experience, intern, even make a couple dollars so you could then come together with others who've done the same thing and start your journey as an entrepreneur or as a cooperative. But it got to be more than just, hey, we can make some money. You understand? Because if you hold on to a failing society long enough, eventually you're going to fail. That's what's happening in this country. Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, you live. Caller going once.
Hello.
Yes, brother.
Yeah, Uncle, the last statement that you said is actually correct, right? But, a famous quotation, you would notice, there's none so enslaved as those who falsely believe they are free.
Yeah.
And so something you said is totally true, the adherence to Europeanism, et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with knowledge, you could debunk just by using common sense that even so they said that we sold ourselves into slavery, but it doesn't pan out with me when I know Gillian, the first Portuguese to reach the Canary Islands or the Azores, was proud to show the Queen of Spain and the King of Spain that he had captured these people.
Mm-hmm.
So it all based on what you know. And so when it relates to Africanism, remember, I was calling the Guardian for a while, so I was always talking about teaching eugenics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people would deny that and ray.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't really understand what was the significance of teaching it. And then I always would make a famous quotation from Sir Francis Galton as relates to the Negro comparing the Negro to the baboon and cannot the narrative of exterminating the savage races throughout the world and et cetera, and comparing the Negro race to the baboon and not being able to govern themselves, et cetera. And these type of statements, even you look at statements from eugenicists like Lothrop studied and the Benjamin Hayes, these were known infamous people, attorneys, et cetera, making these, and you could actually get newspaper clippings and document the hate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if you heard about the Ocoee massacre, right, in Florida in the 1920s, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So what I'm saying is, if you were doing a good job as it relates to teaching, but in the juxtaposition of Africanism, we must adhere to that because as it relates to religion, we are not given the truth. You are preaching it in a lot of relative to a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why we are the way we are is because, and the self-hate is because we haven't been taught the truth, and that the eugenicists and the American Eugenic Society and the Birth Control League, right, and Planned Parenthood, they are all one, but they have used euphemistic terms in order to still achieve their agenda, even as it relates to going away to school and coming back and infuriating one another. The other day, somebody wrote a text saying, they talk about let's go back to living in huts in Africa, and then you debunked it by saying, you see, they're building houses around, right?
That's right.
Right or wrong. And so
they call it biological construction. Yes.
Yeah, but instead of we try to learn from ancient civilizations, then you would wonder why the Indians lived, the Anasazis and the Incas and the Aztecs, they had their towns and cities in the mountains versus the Americans that came and lived on the plain and then thought with the flood.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have traded something for this and something for that. So they make it look as if Africans, even though being anonymous, it means that you live in symbiosis with nature and you didn't destroy it, and only the white man care about Africa and the earth, et cetera, when these concepts existed long before.
That's right.
So this is a hard journey that you're up against.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea
but
of
it can't just be
schools,
me. See, we got to come together. We can't don't clap and say, yeah, you're doing a good job. Join me.
Yeah, but but what I'm
and I
saying
know
is
you do. I know you do. I just talking to
yeah,
others.
but what
I
I'm
know you
saying
do.
is, right, brother, is that you go out and say this. You going in the schools will be a great impetus towards just that.
Yeah.
All right? And debunking some of the myths that some black people are still adhere to. Even as simple, if I come on the radio and I say I'm appalled that black people coming on the radio boldly and saying that they're Catholics, I'm not impressed with that because I know the legacy of what they're doing. And so they're wallowing, but they, people don't want to seek the truth and find the truth. Even simple, all right, Rasta is not impeded by what people think, because during the pandemic, I was speaking the truth and people said I was talking foolishness. So you cannot be impeded by what people think.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, man.
Appreciate it, 52. I'm going to run to a break here on Guardian Radio today. I am your host, Calhoun Anku Sarah. Back after this.
Just 'cause we said no way, no way, no way. Calling me a monster, make no mistake. That there's only so much that you can take.
Wendy's is spicing things up this summer with the new Jalapeno Ranch Cheeseburger. A hot, juicy beef patty topped with spicy jalapenos, creamy ranch sauce, melted cheese, and fresh toppings for the perfect balance of cool and spicy. Every bite brings bold flavor that keeps you coming back for more. Turn up the flavor with the new Jalapeno Ranch Cheeseburger at Wendy's today. Available for a limited time only.
Girl, Junior just showed me Bella Boy in his phone.
What you mean? He take picture of that good for nothing boy?
Shh, you don't want Bella here. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child.
So what he doing in Junior phone?
Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list.
Wanted persons in your phone now?
Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send pictures direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas. Then pick install and it will go straight to your phone.
There is also a section on missing persons?
Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system.
Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried the other day and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick round the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
You try to rest, but go with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Headed to South Florida soon? Holiday Inn Express in Plantation welcomes you to the heartbeat of Florida fun. Whether it's business or pleasure, the Holiday Inn Express is close to sensational shopping, captivating dining, and nightlife. Elevate your Florida experience. Sleep well and rest easy at Holiday Inn Express. Complimentary breakfast buffet featuring seasonal favorites. Keep up your fitness routine in our 24-hour on-site fitness center with cardio equipment and free weights, or take a refreshing swim in our outdoor pool. Your special Bahamas tourist rate awaits. Holiday Inn Express, 1701 North University Drive, in Plantation. Book your getaway now. Call directly at 954-472-5600 or the sales department for reservations and additional information.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Calling me a monster just 'cause we said.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today. I am your host, Calhoun Anku Sarah, also known as Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, and we're wrapping up the show in about less than 15 minutes. But we've been having a conversation regarding the psychology of our oppression, right? You can't address behavior without understanding that there's a psychology related to that behavior. And so, you have Dr. Amos Wilson. You should really check his work out. You have others like Dr. Joy DeGruy, who talks about this post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? That we're suffering from, right? But the problem is, because it's not on the BGCSE or the BJC, we don't want to teach it to the children, or it's not deemed as important, because our modus operandi is to integrate. Okay? Our modus operandi is to integrate. And so in order for us to integrate, you have to be liked. Okay? So the systems like good grades. So you got to get good grades. I'm not saying you shouldn't get good grades. Don't miss what I'm saying. I'm saying get good grades for your development. Get good grades to build for your community, right? Dr. Amos Wilson gives solutions to help a people that have been oppressed for generations and generations. You cannot go through what we have been through as a people and not have some type of mental trauma, okay? Never mind the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual trauma. But the mental trauma, right? The solution of the psyche is to minimize immediate danger. The oppressed person's psyche represses aggression toward the oppressor and channels it towards safer targets, themselves or other black people. The result, black-on-black violence and infighting act as a release valve for rage. This keeps the dominant group safe and untouched while the oppressed community destroys itself. So there must be a come to reality moment. Black individuals are conditioned to view themselves through the lens of the oppressor. They begin to unconsciously accept the propaganda of their own inferiority. They begin to defend the systems. In social settings, black men may react with intense violence over minor interpersonal insults. I'm just going over some of the things I went through for the entire show. Wilson pointed out that the deep irony of this is a man will risk his life or freedom to kill another black man over a perceived insult to his ego, yet will remain passive and cooperative in the face of massive structural insults inflicted by economic and political systems. You'll keep toe-to-toe behind people who just abusing the platforms that they're on. Yes? And so what does he talk about as solutions? We're going to get into that in just a second. I think we have a call coming through, if I'm not mistaken. Is there a call coming through? All right, caller, you're live. Caller going once?
Hey, Uncle.
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for calling.
Right here, man. Okay, you're welcome. How you doing?
Hey, right here, man. One day at a time.
Cool. Good afternoon to the nation. I was in and out of the conversation with, who was it, Dr. Wilson? You speaking now?
Dr. Amos Wilson, yes.
Okay, Dr. Amos Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And while I understand the foundation of what he's suggesting, right? I could take some challenges with the approach. For instance, you read from an excerpt of what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
You read an excerpt suggesting that there's an issue with the consumerism, right?
Yeah.
And knowing how to, I guess, produce and reproduce.
Right.
Pretty much is what I was gathering from what you were speaking about at that time.
Yeah.
And my mind just went to things on the global stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at what's happening, for instance, in the United States of America, right?
Mm-hmm.
The United States, bar none, no one is even close to them. They are the most massive, the biggest consumers, period. In the history of global communities, they are absolutely the largest at consuming, right?
I'm listening.
And at the same time, they're still the wealthiest nation on the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and so there's a lot of mix that could go into that conversation there. And then on the flip side of that comparison with Dr. Amos, right? There's the Great Republic of China, right? And the Great Republic of China, certainly by far, are the biggest manufacturers on the planet, right? Right? You can hear me, Uncle?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
And of course, there were some studies done that at one point, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, that showed that they had the biggest growth of millionaires in their country as it compares to any other country on the planet, right? However, they also have the biggest population, right, on the planet, right? And I know that even with them being the greatest manufacturers or the largest of manufacturers on the planet, with such a huge population, it still presents lots of challenges with providing opportunities and access for all of its citizenry, even though I could say, based on my limited knowledge and the studies that I did when I was down there, they have a deliberate attempt by their presidents to try and ensure that there's equality in the economy, equality in access, equality in housing and access to housing, and all those sorts of things, healthcare, etc., that is required in order to give humans a good quality of life, right? And so I believe that conversation, I know it's a limited time, Uncle.
Yeah.
And I had intended on calling a little earlier, but I just wasn't able to. But I like the conversation. I really like it a lot because it identifies a lot of weaknesses, which I agree with wholeheartedly. But at the same time, I think it's the mix and how you create that mix in your own society that you are building for your citizenry and yourself as well, because you also have to live in it, that really determines the direction and everything else that flows from there. And so there's a deep conversation that hopefully you can continue to bring up and not just this one shot now.
Definitely.
It's a very deep conversation.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you for the opportunity, Uncle.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to respond. Thank you so much for the call, and thank you so much for inserting this into the conversation. So, Anton used the United States, which is a superpower economically, militarily, and otherwise, as an example of a nation that consumes. I know he knows that they don't only consume, but here's what Dr. Amos Wilson is talking about in this regard. The producers in the U.S. economy include private businesses, public corporations, and government entities that create goods, deliver services, or they extract raw materials, right? The service-producing industries generate about 73% of the gross domestic product, the GDP. The service-producing industries generate about 73% of the U.S. gross domestic product, while goods-producing industries and the government account for the rest. So they are definitely a producing company. Now, the major service producers are finance, insurance, and real estate. They call it FIRE. That's an acronym. They generate roughly $6.8 trillion, 21.8% of the GDP, making it the largest producing sector in the economy. There's also the professional and the business services that contribute $4.1 trillion, or 13.1% of GDP. There's also the healthcare and educational services that adds about $2.18 trillion, or 8.9% of the GDP, right? And then there's the information technology and telecom industries that produce $1.8 trillion, or 5.6% of the GDP. Now, you see that section where it talks about, they say information technology, telecom, media. I didn't see media here, but they also produce media. Black-owned media gets less than 2% of the government contracts in America. So Dr. Amos Wilson is talking about that reality of black people who own their media, who own their narrative, only getting less than 2% of the government contracts in America. That's deliberate. That's deliberate. Okay? There's also the manufacturing aspect, the energy mining, the agriculture. So my question then is, well, who owns these producing companies? Which again speaks to the solutions that I'm going to read before the end of the show. Institutional investors via the public market, all right, own portions of this aspect of the economy. There's the private equity firms and the founding families or inside executives. Who do you think that is? The same people who benefited off of slavery to begin with. You understand? So what Dr. Amos Wilson is saying is that as a people, we need to understand, first of all, what's in front of us in order to properly respond to it. Because if we can't even see what's in the front of us, then we can't pool our resources, which is one of the suggestions that he has. We can't vote in a monolithic way. We stop being so loyal to political parties and be loyal to your community. That's a solution. Whoever's going to assist with building your community, that's who you give your vote to. And it shouldn't be a 1-1 situation. They can afford to come door to door. If we are all united in what we want for our communities, they'll get the message. They'll get the message. You understand? Let's try to get this last call in and I'll wrap up the show. Call you live.
I agree. You can't switch the conversation so quickly, man.
I ain't switch it. We still talking solutions.
Okay. If you over the past couple of minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had persons who were actually trying to talk down to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of information,
mm-hmm.
but they refused to have a conversation. Right? All they was doing was giving you facts.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, you earlier spoke of the mindset in terms of the choices that we make, right?
Yep.
Even though the black population in America is extensive, folks still choosing to buy certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, if they would choose to buy their own, it'll probably raise from 2% to like 5%, or even 6%.
Well, that was a specific stat regarding the media. But go ahead, I understand what you said.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But the media drives everything else.
Mm-hmm. It drives the narrative, right? Which is why we only going to get 2% of that budget.
Okay, in 1833, right?
Mm-hmm.
When slavery, 1834,
mm-hmm.
Slavery abolished, right?
Right.
But they passed an act a year earlier that gave reparations to
the slave masters,
46,000 slave owners.
Yeah.
In Parliament.
Yeah.
And after Parliament.
And they just finished paying for it in 2015.
See, so if we don't understand how much thinking we're going to have to do, we're going to be preoccupied with all the weekend activities.
Yeah.
Sing, dance, jump, and die. And then we go back to the plantation to wake again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is a very good conversation, buddy.
Well, we're going to continue the conversation on Friday, and then, of course, September 6th, Unplugged begins with yours truly, Kahun Anku Sarah, and we're going to be touching on these topics and a whole lot more. But ultimately, our psychology and the way we perceive, right, the way we actually internalize our values, right? Marcus Garvey talked about it on the 18th of this month, talks about how we don't like to take instruction from people who look like us, right? We don't think that somebody who looks like us could actually be giving us a solution because of how much we hate ourselves. You understand? And that's why I don't come on the radio giving you my opinions about things. I go to the works of our ancestors, the pieces of the puzzle. You understand? So if you want to do more research, you could go and do more research on a Dr. Amos Wilson or a Dr. Joy DeGruy or a Dr. Francis Cress Wilson or a Amos, the mentor for Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, Neely Fuller Jr., right? These are people who've put in the work, right? I stand on the shoulder of giants. I'm still learning. I'm still becoming. So I don't come on here with my solution when I got elders who have worked through much tougher times and seen the devil face to face and have given us solutions. We can't throw them away and begin to think that we got it figured out. So obviously, we only could do so much in 2 hours. And Friday we'll be back, and we can be talking religion and culture and so much more. But the Talking Heads are up next, Naughty and MJ. Make sure you keep it locked here on 96.9. Fresh news, smart talk all day. My name is Kahun Anku Sarah. Namastu.
Monster, make the mistake that there's only so much that you can take. We are the monsters you made. I bet they thought it was cool, probably thought we was fools when we would break all the rules and skip them classes in school. Because the teacher them teaching what the white man them teaching, them European teachings in my African school.